We've all been there, right? It's 2 a.m., the lights are off, and you're scrolling through your banking app.
Oh, absolutely.
You're trying to figure out how the next paycheck is going to cover the last round of bills. That feeling, that low-grade, persistent fear.
You're one flat tire away from chaos.
Exactly. One sick day, one unexpected fee, and the whole house of cards could come down. Now, hold that feeling for a moment.
Okay.
And imagine you open that same app, but you see a separate, steady stream of income. It just arrived.
You didn't trade your time for it?
Not a minute. It's not enough to buy a yacht, but it is $1,000 every single month.
Suddenly things feel different.
The panic isn't hitting as hard. You aren't wondering if a minor emergency is going to bankrupt you next week. You're not rich, but you are undeniably no longer broke.
And the sources we've been digging into, they argue that the distance between being broke and no longer broke, well, that's a universe of difference.
Defined by one number, $1,000.
That universe of difference is what this deep dive is all about. We're calling this the 1K rule. And the mission here is, it's fundamentally psychological.
Right.
We're trying to look past the spreadsheets, past the investment calculators, to really dissect the invisible triggers that separate people who are just struggling from those who operate from a base of security.
I like that.
This isn't about becoming a millionaire overnight. I mean, that goal can feel so overwhelming. This is about a profound, achievable milestone.
Psychological circuit breaker.
That's the perfect term for it. It rewires how you process risk, opportunity, and the very meaning of money. It changes every single financial decision you make from that point on.
I appreciate that framing because, the number itself, $1,000 in passive income, can sound almost insignificant in a high-cost city.
For sure.
What does the source material argue that $1,000 actually represents? Because it's not going to pay the full rent in New York or LA.
No, and that's the critical distinction. It's not wealth replacement, it's survival insurance.
Survival insurance. Okay.
The research points out that for most people, $1,000, it covers your absolute basic survival needs if everything just goes sideways.
So we're talking bare bones utilities, groceries.
Maybe a minimal car payment, or even modest rent in some places. The power of it is that it's recurring, it's dependable, and that certainty lets you cross what the sources call the anxiety threshold.
Okay, let's unpack that, the anxiety threshold, because this is where the psychology gets really concrete. Below that line, what is happening in our brains?
Below it, you are in a state of perpetual financial fight or flight. Every single decision.
Whether to buy lunch or fill up the gas tank.
Exactly. It's all made from a place of fear and scarcity. Your brain is just constantly running worst-case scenario calculations. And that scarcity mindset, it actually diminishes your cognitive function. You get tunnel vision.
So this is more than just worry. We're talking about literal physiological stress.
We are. It's the constant release of cortisol. So when you quiet that primal, anxious voice with that $1,000 safety net, your nervous system can literally relax.
You're proving to your own brain that your survival is secured by your assets, not by just punching a clock.
Right. You are moving from a scarcity mindset to an optimization mindset.
Now, here's where I want to push back a little on this 1K rule.
Yeah.
If the key is covering basic needs, and those needs vary so drastically, why $1,000? Shouldn't this be the, $800 to $1,500 rule?
That's a really great point. And the sources do acknowledge that variability. For someone in a super low cost of living area, maybe $800 is enough.
And in Manhattan, maybe it's $2,000.
It might be. But $1,000 is cited as the average crossing point for most Americans because it happens to correlate with the typical cost of those essential non-negotiable budget items.
So the number is less important than the function.
A function is everything. It's the point where the psychological benefit kicks in, where you can finally relax. You've proven to yourself that the system you build actually works.
And that relaxation is the bedrock of future wealth building. But why does this specific goal, $1,000 a month, work better than the one we always hear? Save $1 million for retirement.
Because $1 million feels completely abstract. It's an impossible number for most people starting out. It can feel like it's 20 years of your salary.
The finish line is just too far away.
It's so distant that people just kind of discard the goal to focus on today's problems. $1,000 a month, though, that's immediate. It's tangible. You can achieve it in a few months or a couple of years.
And you see that immediate psychological relief.
Which creates a positive feedback loop. It motivates you to keep going.
I see the theory. So let's get practical. What are the actionable paths the sources lay out to hit that $1,000 milestone?
Okay, so the material is pretty clear here. You have paths that need a lot of capital and paths that need a lot of time and skill.
Let's start with capital. Dividend stocks.
Right. The sources often use the 4% annual yield figure for that.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. Why 4%?
Well, 4% is often used because historically it's seen as a relatively safe withdrawal rate that minimizes the risk of, running out of money in retirement.
Got it. So to get $1,000 a month, which is $12,000 a year, at 4%.
You need roughly $300,000 invested. And while that sounds huge, it's way less intimidating than that $1 million target.
And what about for real estate?
For real estate, it's all about cash flow. The sources say you might generate that $1,000 monthly cash flow after the mortgage, taxes, all of that, by using strategies like house hacking.
And for anyone listening, house hacking just means buying a property, living in one part of it, and then renting out the rest to cover your costs.
Precisely. For that, you might need a down payment of, say, $60,000 on a $300,000 property. The barrier to entry is lower.
Okay, and finally, for the person who has zero savings right now.
That's the time and skill path. Digital products, affiliate marketing, building a small online business. It takes almost no upfront cash, but it demands a ton of disciplined effort and skill building.
But the psychological outcome is the same.
Identical. And this is where the evidence gets really compelling. Studies show that once people have this buffer, they start making dramatically different choices.
How so?
They're more likely to negotiate a higher salary because they can actually walk away from a bad offer. They're more likely to switch jobs for a better opportunity, even if it means being unemployed for a little bit.
So they aren't suddenly becoming risk junkies.
Not at all. They just have the financial latitude to stop operating from immediate desperation. They can afford to be patient, strategic.
The lack of desperation is the most powerful negotiation tool you can possibly own. You move from, I have to take this deal, to, I can wait for the right deal.
Exactly.
Okay, that behavioral change is crucial. But if it's so critical, why do the sources say that something like 90% of people sabotage themselves almost immediately?
This is the lifestyle inflation trap. And it is so predictable you can set your watch to it.
Right.
The moment people see an extra $100 or $200 of passive income hitting their bank account, they rationalize it as found money.
And they immediately spend it, upgrading their coffee, their phone, their Netflix plan.
And that completely defeats the goal of the 1K rule.
Both financially and psychologically.
It defeats both. The power of the rule is realized only if that money is aggressively reinvested to compound. If you spend it, you just stay on the paycheck-to-paycheck hamster wheel, just at a slightly higher standard of living.
I think the source material had a great analogy for this. It's like finding a goose that lays golden eggs, and because you're feeling a little hungry right now, you immediately cook it for dinner.
You've traded infinite future income for one immediate meal, and the financial cost of that meal is just staggering.
Let's make that concrete for everyone listening.
Okay. If you're spending that $1,000 of monthly passive income instead of reinvesting it, you're essentially destroying the capital base that generates it.
So we go back to that $300,000 in underlying assets needed to generate the $1,000 a month?
Right. If you spend that $1,000 every month, you are sacrificing the compounding potential of $12,000 a year. You are, in effect, paying $300,000 in lost opportunity just to feel a little more comfortable right now.
You're trading a foundational wealth-generating asset for lifestyle creep.
Which might just make it the most expensive coffee upgrade in human history.
I mean, think about it. Most people work their entire lives just to save up $300,000. And we're talking about casually spending that future value on immediate gratification.
And this is the core of the wealthy mindset. They live below their means strategically because they understand that every single dollar not spent on lifestyle is a dollar that can be deployed to make more passive income.
Okay, let's talk about the incredible power of compounding when you resist that temptation. Let's say you hit that $1,000 a month and you religiously reinvest that $12,000 annual stream into assets that get, say, an 8% return.
That's where the math stops being linear and just becomes exponential. That $12,000 compounding at 8% means after about 13 years, you've generated roughly $250,000 in additional assets.
And that's without adding another penny of your own salary. That's money that was grown entirely by the asset you built.
$250,000 grown just from letting that initial stream flow back into the system. And that $250,000, using our earlier 4% example, is now generating about $860 a month on its own.
So your original $1,000 stream has almost doubled its own output.
Just by exercising discipline for a decade or so, this is the difference between being merely comfortable and achieving what the sources call escape velocity.
Let's clarify that term, escape velocity.
No.
What does that actually mean here?
Escape velocity is the point where the income from your assets is enough not just to cover your basic needs, but your desired living expenses, plus the costs of continuous reinvestment.
The system becomes self-sustaining.
It becomes self-sustaining and it accelerates rapidly. If you keep that discipline, the growth timeline just explodes. Year 1, you hit $1,000 a month. By year 5, you might be at $2,500 a month. By year 10,
You could be at $5,000 to $8,000 a month.
easily. You're on an exponential curve that most people never, ever get to access because they get off the ride at the first small dividend check.
But the internal psychological warfare at that $1,000 milestone must be just intense. Your brain is essentially fighting against its own best interest.
It is brutal. Your brain tries to rationalize lifestyle creep as financial responsibility. You've earned it, you deserve it, you've proven you're successful.
It's an identity upgrade.
It is. And the sources are so critical of this because that immediate identity upgrade destroys the very habits that got you there in the first place.
So the thought process flips from, I need to build wealth, to, I'm now a wealthy person who can buy nicer things.
Precisely. It's not a passive creep, it's an aggressive lifestyle sprint. Your brain starts justifying it. I need to upgrade my phone plan. Communication is key for my business. Or a more expensive car is an investment in safety.
It's a sophisticated lie we tell ourselves.
To justify immediate consumption. And before you know it, you've mentally spent that entire $1,000 stream on things that didn't even exist as needs when you were struggling.
This is where you have to keep opportunity cost front and center.
Absolutely. Think about the trade-offs. That $50 monthly restaurant habit you've picked up, you are choosing to sacrifice $15,000 in future wealth.
That $200 car payment upgrade.
That's $60,000 in future compounded assets that you are just walking away from. You're not just spending $200, you're liquidating a piece of your future freedom.
Which all comes back to decision quality. That's the ultimate goal here.
It's the ultimate measure of success. That $1,000 buffer moves you from the one emergency away from disaster category to the manageable setback category, and that shift changes everything.
Your decision-making moves from a survival calculation to an optimization problem.
How do I keep the lights on becomes, how do I maximize future growth? Desperate people are forced to take bad jobs. They sell assets in a panic. People with a buffer can be patient, they can be strategic, they can be opportunistic.
That patience is the single most valuable asset you gain. It lets you weather the storm and make decisions that are aligned with your goals, not your fear.
Absolutely.
So, if the psychology is the hardest part, then the path from $1,000 a month to $10,000 a month should be, exponentially shorter than the path from 0 to 1,000.
It is. The initial phase is the psychological sprint. Once you've won that battle, scaling becomes an execution problem, not a belief problem. You have proof of concept.
You've rewired your brain.
Your first $1,000 in monthly passive income will not make you rich, but it provides something far more valuable. It makes you dangerous to the system that profits from your desperation.
Dangerous because that desperation, the thing that forces you into terrible loans, bad jobs, selling at the bottom of the market, it's gone.
That $1,000 is the down payment on your freedom.
And the hardest part isn't even the technical challenge.
No. It's convincing yourself that you deserve to keep the money, to let it compound, and to refuse to burn the treasure map for a little bit of immediate comfort. The challenge is deciding that this milestone is the mechanism of the reward, not the reward itself.